What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's speak on it. Now, I want to say thank you guys, man. You guys have definitely kept us afloat here. I wasn't really feeling my best, but I said I got to get up and make a video for them. So, note that I am not feeling well right now as I make this video for you. But you deserve it for all the support and everything that you do. Um, so, I can do this even when I'm under the weather. Now, why there was no 1996 Source Awards? A lot of people think it was after what happened at the 95 Source Awards that there was no way there were going to be another Source Awards in 96. That's not true. See, here's the thing. Nothing happened in 95. Nothing happened. They said things on stage, but nothing happened. There was no fighting. Guys actually went and hung out at an after party. See, the problem is the Source Awards set the stage for everything else. There was no other hip hop award show. Hip hop had to find its way in a figure eight when it came to awards and acknowledgement. It was like a sideshow event that was something you run due to commercial credits. They'll give one or maybe two awards and may let them get the stage and do one song. But the Grammys wouldn't really get behind it, and a lot of other formats wouldn't really get behind the music. So you're looking at a situation where Yo MTV Raps and everything they had done at its time was talking about excitement and a lot of different things was going on during the first one in 94, but no one really got to see it around the world. Only it was like some cool thing to have been to if you was there. In 94 you had Onyx Sticky shooting a live gun on stage. Imagine them showing that on television. That wouldn't have went over well. So in 95 they paid out about $40,000 to get the place or whatever that they played, that it was at. They had to get insurance in case someone was hurt. So without any insurance, none of the things that they wanted to do was going to go down. So in 95, that was the first time we seen production like that. Like the Death Row set, Suge Knight paid 100,000 plus for Death Row to have that big stage with the prison guards, that whole set. That was Suge's idea. They paid over $100,000 to have that. That's how serious Death Row was about having the Source Awards. They wanted it. They believed in it. They wanted the performance for Death Row. They wanted to be accepted. DJ Quick, that was his first time ever really doing anything with the Source because he hated the Source for years because he felt like it was just so East Coast biased. Because most of the people in New York, They weren't really trying to deal with the West Coast. Most of the DJs weren't trying to even spin West Coast music. So the people that vote are the DJs, all the retailers that's out there, all the mom and pop shops and all them. They had ballots to vote. That was the first time that really ever happened. They were able to vote on who they think should win and how that was moving. So when 95 Source Awards came and went, they felt we had a great project here. And you look at why Puffy set was so small and Death Row had the big production set. It's because Suge put down that money. For Biggie no set, they really didn't put any money. Puffy didn't put any money into that. They put very little money into it. They just had basically a chair and some lights going. They have no real production behind it at all. And that's all they wanted to do was just rip the stage. They didn't need any fancy anything on stage. But it made the Source look really good to have it done that way. They look like a legitimate award show. And when this went down, they had who did they have? Gosh. Anyhow, forget it. Anyway, they had when all this stuff was going down, they had networks like NBC, all these other people. They were trying to get the award show aired on television, and they had to spend so much money out of pocket just to get the show aired on television that they really didn't. Dave Mays and Benzino and all of they really didn't make any money off of the Source Awards, which is shocking, right? That 95 Source Awards at the time, they didn't make their money on the Source Awards until later when they started putting it out on DVD, just bits and pieces of that Source Awards. People loved that and wanted to see it so much. And it went the way it did. It was just, anyway, it was just a mess. So, and after this is done, they're talking about 96. People are like, okay, well, what are we going to do for 96? All of these things that were on the table before, the Source magazine, still the biggest magazine in the world for hip hop. They could have gotten it done, but now it's like, okay, we got a lot of problems now. The Suge Knight Puffy thing turned into a real problem. You know, Suge, one of the Suge friends died, and putting them all in the same area is gonna be explosive. This time, Tupac is out. He's basically then, it was a resurgence. Tupac is like the number one artist in the world at the time with the All Eyes on Me album. It's a lot of things going on with the Fugees, and it was a whole big turn of events that they had problems. Suge wanted to buy the entire awards and was going to pay about $250,000 to basically move the whole thing to Los Angeles. And he was talking to Dave Mays about moving it out there. Dave, yeah, it's Suge. Listen, I figured I could spend, and I got a bigger facility. It's in California. We do it somewhere near Hollywood where everybody be safe. Cause I know this is why everybody's scared come out here to LA. And we came to New York and we showed everybody ain't nothing to be scared of. Now, I think it's only right y'all put it out here in California. Ain't nothing but opportunity out here. You can make a big show and get a lot of money. Then you got the rappers and executive producing. If they want to get on stage and dance, we got the best lighting crew in the world. They do the Grammys. They gonna be doing all the lightings and all that. And I give you 250,000 and I just take it over. I run the whole production. And I executive produce the show. So what they was gonna do was basically buy it out from Dave Mays and them and still call it the Source. They could be a part of it, but they getting their chunk up front. Suge was gonna spend that to make some money, but advertise Death Row. And he was like, Dave Mays was like, no, because there's no way in the world I would send and put my name, the Source Awards, on something like that. We're not involved. And here comes all these problems. Like some other artists get hurt, that's under the Source's umbrella. And they'll be like, man, this was a Death Row production. This ain't fair. He's like, because it looked like Tupac was going to get the majority of the awards. So, it would look like Biggie the night when, you know, Ready to Die won all those awards at the Source. It would look something like that. And they thought this might have been what Death Row wanted all along, was to crown Tupac. But he was like, I can't even guarantee artists would even think about showing up, or anybody else from the East Coast at the time. And there was other beefs going on. A lot of people forget there was Ghostface and Raekwon and they problems with Biggie and they crew. You know, y'all forget. My heart is cold like Russia. Got jerked at the Source Awards. Next year, 200 niggas coming with swords. So they had animosity. Mobb Deep had animosity with some people because they were being blacklisted at a couple of events. So there's a lot of stuff going on that even other artists weren't getting along. It was a huge year for people not liking each other. Now, oh man, people sending me some crazy stuff. Now, people also didn't like the RSO. They didn't like Benzino's involvement. Felt, why is Benzino and the RSO in there, and there's people in the staff, and when your staff like walks out and they don't have a staff anymore, it's kind of hard to go ahead and say we finna try to set up an award show and all this. It was so much internal things happening with all of this stuff. It was just really brutal. But there was no way they were gonna sell. But they did think about putting it in another location. Because Jermaine Dupri was like, I could pull this off. And this was months after the award show was going on. He just was going to do his birthday bash in Atlanta. And he was saying, Atlanta's the spot. They ready for it. We got the artists with Outkast. He's like, we got the Dungeon Family. He's like, we ready. You know, we the South is ready to have it come to Atlanta. And they were gonna think about moving it to Atlanta. It was much cheaper than putting it in New York or Los Angeles. Nobody mind going to Atlanta. West Coast artists and definitely the East Coast artists didn't mind going to Atlanta, Georgia. Then Suge Friends get shot. Big J. And just like that, everything's over. So that ended that. You know, there was no way they were going to put this thing together, even though Big Jake is not an artist. There's no way they were going to put Suge Knight in the same area as Sean Puffy Combs. Even though they went out there for the Soul Train Awards, there was no way the Source was going to be a part of that. Taking all that risk, and it was so much turmoil going on with all these artists. Now, how you gonna have a night where Tupac and Lauryn Hill and the Fugees, all on the same card, are supposed to be, you know, honoring each other, and Tupac got beef with the Fugees? You know, it's like, how you gonna beef with the Fugees? And he's got beef with them, and he's turning up on everybody. Then when a song like "Hit 'Em Up" come out, no way were they gonna put anybody in the same vicinity with Tupac. That could just all go bad in an insurance company. It was just all going to go left. One of the sponsors, a person that worked with Stephen Hill for the BET Awards. Now he wanted to sponsor one of the first sponsors that they had. His name was Eric something. Gosh, I can't think of that guy's name. And once I finish the video, his name come off the top of my head. It was Eric something. Jesus Christ. Anyway, he had worked with Johnson and Johnson's. He was a manager working with Johnson and Johnson Incorporated, and he mostly fills in all these healthcare products for blacks, you know, and wanted to use the Source Award to advertise his products. So he was willing to put some sponsorship dollars into the Source and all these things, and now they worked with a lot of people in Atlanta, and so he was willing to put some money down, some serious money. But at the time it was what I had told you that went down. So that's why we didn't get one in '96. And they waited 4 years before they came out with another. And that one was awesome. It had production money in it. It had everything in it. Budget. They had it all. By '99, everything was in place. Everyone was behind it. You had sponsorship dollars. You had everything. So it was finally done the right way. But anyhow, I'm gonna get out. I'm not gonna take too much of your time away. I remember and love those days of the Source. I look back on those days of epic proportions. That's when hip hop was probably at its peak. Just excellence all the way around the board. So thank you guys for listening to a moment in history. Because I know most of you, Warren, some of you were just kids or babies and don't even remember all these times and things that went on behind the scenes. So that's what I like to give you guys, the behind the scenes things, so you could fill in the blanks as much as you could. Thank you, and don't forget to support the page. Hit the Cash App up. Carcino's the name on the Cash App. And definitely don't forget to join the Patreon. Patreon's cracking. If you can afford to join it, definitely do so. We got something else new coming today. Today was the topic, was the hip hop lawyer. You know, they talk about hip hop cops. We had the hip hop lawyer. So you get to hear from one of the enforcers for rappers we won't name his story about what happened with the hip hop lawyer and what he did with him. I'm out.